SNJ Today Hotline. Today's program is brought to you by Ocean First Bank. Our special guest today is Hirsh Singh. Hirsh is a Republican gubernatorial candidate who'll be running in the Republican primary. We'll be back to talk about Hirsh and his campaign right after these messages. Welcome back to SNJ Today Hotline. Jim Quinn along with Hirsh Singh. And Hirsh, good to see you. How are you?
How's it going, Jim? I'm doing great.
Hey, I'll tell you, you are the man. You got to tell everybody, Hirsh, what did you accomplish when you were at Egg Harbor Township High School? You were really very busy.
I did a lot of activities there. I was lucky to say that I was Mr. Egg Harbor Township when I was graduating. There was some stiff competition, some really good guitar players and singers, but I did a tap dancing top hat and solo singing routine based off of Richard Gere's Chicago song, and yeah, it was a good event.
I'll tell you, I don't know if I like this guy, not because he's Republican, he's just too talented. Plus, I got to be honest with you, Hirsh, I'm happy to see someone as young as you are running. How old are you?
I'm 31.
31 years old, which is great to be. Do you have to be 30 to run for governor?
Yes, minimum age is 30 to run for governor.
Now, have you put your hat in any other rings in the past?
No, I think that even right now, the only reason I'm trying to run is because we really need to help our state. We really need to take care of our people. And otherwise, the idea was I was making a lot more money in the private sector. And so I was doing a very good job engineering for the government and for some of our major industries and agencies. So I was doing very good, but when you look at the candidates that are running right now, it's unacceptable to stay out of the process. If you want to fix it, you have to do it yourself.
Well, I tell you what, it is exciting especially for the younger people, to have somebody young representing them. And one of the things that, before we go to talk about your thoughts on education, is that when you graduated from Egg Harbor Township High School, tell everybody where you went and what happened from there.
So after graduating, I went to the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I took my time trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I wasn't sure. Started out studying electrical engineering, and then I changed over to biomedical engineering, and then I did not want to be any particular type, so I ended up being just an engineer, but I had a concentration in tissue engineering and material science.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Now, before we went on the air, you told me your dad owns a company, an engineering company?
Yes, so after graduating, people that graduate with an engineering degree with my background, they either go into the biomedical world, either trying to become a doctor, working on prosthetics, R&D, and that wasn't really an interest of mine. So I'm lucky to say my father worked really, really hard and had started a company 22 years ago out of our garage, and built it up to be a very strong, very large company nationwide. And I ended up joining there, started from the bottom, and had to work my way up, learning how it works from the bottom. I would say that now, for the last maybe 6 years, I've been leading our business development and activities regarding operations for our programs for the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, the Federal Aviation Administration,
wow.
NASA. And so not only am I interfacing with the government, but also all the hiring, all like the management from that aspect. So we have a great team, and I was able to kind of grow and do some large work. So I'm very proud of that. But I mean, duty calls.
And one thing, we were talking about your education, and you have a great education. What's your feelings about education statewide? How would you go about changing it a little bit?
I would say that I was very lucky. I went to Egg Harbor Township High School, and I would say I had some of the best teachers that have influenced me so much. It's almost incalculable how much the teachers you have impact you and make you who you are. In that respect, I would say that the education that is there today, the education system that my little brother went through out of mainland high school, is far less than what I had. And it's really not the fault of the teachers. They mean well, they want to do good, but if you're not being funded properly, if you're not being taken care of, then it's very difficult to ensure that the quality education is available. The education I got has made it that I can handle any type of challenges, and I think that opportunity is possible in our state with a couple of changes and a couple of adjustments.
Fairness, obviously, is a big factor. We're talking with Hirsh Singh, who is the gubernatorial candidate on the Republican ticket. We'll be back to talk more with Hirsh right after these messages. Welcome back to SNJ Today Hotline. Jim Quinn along with Hirsh Singh, who is a gubernatorial candidate on the Republican ticket. And Hirsh, when we took a commercial break, we were talking about education. And one of the things, having been in government for 30 years myself, I've seen is that we have so much duplication. We have 608 school districts. We have 535 municipalities, I believe it is. And there's so much duplication there. Do you have some ideas of maybe how to make that a little more efficient?
So there are a lot of problems with our education system, and I would say first to understand the issue, New Jersey spends third in the entire country in the amount of money we put forward to education. And this last year we spent $13.3 billion. And it's really unfortunate that our graduation rates and quality of education is nowhere near the amount of money that's being spent. And the reason for that is a couple of decisions that were made many years ago by the Supreme Court, which made different locations pay for education for other locations. And the education funding formula has been completely out of whack. My thought here is that we really need to change the way education is funded. And I really follow the doctrine of the fairness formula. I think that consolidation is very important for the number of districts, but really to ensure a carte blanche across the state solution, every student, regardless of what zip code they were born in or they live in, should be given an equal amount of the funding that is provided to students. So with the fairness formula, each student would be given around $6,500, and that would actually result in a huge increase in how much money the school districts are currently making. For example, if we take a local municipality down here, Margate, for example, underneath the fairness formula, they would get an increase of over 400%
Wow.
in their school funding. Now, with how much we're spending in education, we're not going to reduce anything. We're just going to reallocate it so that the schools that want to be able to send their children on field trips out of state, out of country, give them immersion in new technology or give them immersion in new experiences, those capabilities are right within our grasp, but we need to stop spending money where it's not working, where it's being used in the wrong fashion, and really move it toward the students that really have the capability and potential, but just need to get the right type of opportunity given to them. So this would actually affect 75% of the students in the state right now, which are, I would say, very underfunded. It would help out South Jersey, it would help out North Jersey, it would help out New Jersey. And the areas where that money is not being used properly, you have to take away the money to solve the problem, because that's the only way. It's going to be a tough transition, but if it's not done, everyone loses.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, there actually are 565 municipalities in New Jersey.
Yes.
There was 566 in Princeton Borough and Princeton Township joined together about 3 or 4 years ago to become one. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the funding of the schools. Most of the funding from the schools, on the local level, it comes from the property taxpayer. And New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the United States. How are you going to work on that?
So the fairness formula that I was mentioning also takes into consideration this aspect, because it's not just that the funding is going locally, that funding is also going to the Abbott districts, which were kind of 5% of the districts in the state that get more than 50% of the school funding. The rest of the 530 some other districts get the 48% remaining, which is the problem. In these areas where we consider to have lower taxes for school allocation, you would think that they would have the ability to save more money, but the money that was reduced is actually compensated by local municipalities over there that take a much higher percentage of the taxes. So the system right now is not working. With the fairness formula, you would have a drastic reduction because it would cut out this increase in municipality spending in those Abbott districts. So, for example, Atlantic County would get a reduction in about $1,700 per household in property taxes. Certain other counties which have much higher property taxes in North Jersey would get a reduction of about $2,500, in some places even $3,000. So it's a pretty large impact, and my responsibility for saying I'm going to go for this high office is that within this first year, either it will be put on the ballot for the voter to make a decision for themselves, or it will be passed to the legislature if we're able to take the Assembly and the Senate. So have to move heaven and earth, I will, but we will get this through because it's a must. It needs to happen.
One of the things that I've had a property in Cape May County, and I also have one in Millville. The property in Cape May County was assessed at over $1 million. My taxes were $7,000.
Yep.
My property in Millville is assessed at $350,000. My taxes are $12,000.
Yes.
So what you're saying, unfortunately, won't, because Millville's an Abbott district, so it's going to not help me. The tax formula will go up. My point, I think, that Hirsh, that has to be looked at is fairness of the funding, where
Yes.
the funding comes from, because you're putting more burden on the property taxpayers. And as I say, Cape May County, I have a home there that was worth $1 million with $7,000 assessment. Millville home actually is now only worth $250,000, but it was at that time $350,000 with $12,000 assessment. This formula in the state of New Jersey for taxes, I've been in government for 30 years, and when I started out in 1983, I started, and it was like we talked about, we're going to reform the taxes. We're going to reform property taxes.
Yes.
And we've not done a thing to do that.
Yes, so in these Abbott districts, actually, your taxes are not lowered because they're being replaced by local municipalities, which are taking close to 60% of those property taxes. So if it's reduced back to similar levels across the state, that's when you're going to feel the same. So the intention was that you have lower taxes that go to education in Abbott districts, and that would be compensated by other municipalities. But what actually happened was that gap was not given to the people. It was retaken by local other areas that took higher amount of taxes. And that's the problem. That is why the fairness formula is a really specific issue that really needs to be pushed forward to help people across the state.
We're talking with Hirsh Singh, who is the Republican gubernatorial candidate. He'll be running in the primary in June on the Republican ticket for the governor's position here in the state of New Jersey. We'll be back with Hirsh right after these messages. Welcome back to SNJ Today Hotline. Jim Quinn along with Hirsh Singh, who is the gubernatorial candidate on the Republican ticket, one of several. And we've been talking about the state. We've been talking about education funding. And Hirsh, one of the things that I've always said in all the years that I've been in government, every year we go to the League of Municipalities Convention and they talk about, we're going to reform property taxes, and they've never done it, never. How do you see a way to reform that?
So one thing that really distinguishes me from the other candidates that are running for this office is that I'm not running to just be governor. You need to have actually a plurality of people in both the Assembly and the Senate to really make the changes, because our issues in New Jersey are not a single point of failure. We have a lot of issues that go across the legislature that need to be consolidated. So what you get with me is a younger candidate who will actually grow the party and actually allow for a focus to be made that from these after the primary, to make sure that we get a plurality across the state so that we can actually get things done. The problem with having our current setup is that you have almost like a lame duck situation going on, where even if someone has a good intention and they try to fight very vigorously, they're unable to accomplish them. So I mean, I'm not like angry at Christie. I'm disappointed and upset that they weren't able to win those Assembly seats and the Senate seats needed. And this year is really unique because every Assembly seat is up for grab, every Senate seat is up for grab, and the governorship. So picking the right person who's going to really have the energy to go to every part of this state and pull out that vote, because right now we only have close to 9% of the people voting. Wow. If we can really get out there and show people that we represent you. Low voter turnout comes out when people don't feel they're represented. And that only happens when they see that there's a candidate who has the vision, has the ideas, will put in the effort, because they want to take care of all of the state. And that's how we get out of this quagmire. We need to win all three, the Senate, the Assembly, and the governorship, if we want to make sure that we can guide the state in the right direction. Because, I mean, and we have to go to the people. I'm not trying to play the convention game, so you just get the people that are on the inside. This is the people's election from my standpoint. I'm going to be appealing to all the people, and no one can stop the silent majority that is in this state.
Well, you know, one of the good things, too, that you've got going for you is your youth and the fact of social media. And that's becoming very big, you know, Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. But to get the word out as well is something that's very important. One thing, going back to funding formulas, there's down township in Cumberland County spends the highest per person per student on their students in the state. And what hurts them is they have no rateable base because the state DEP comes in Green Acres and they suck up this land, suck up that land, take it off the rateable base. 85% of down township, as an example, is non-ratables. It's owned by the state. So they're struggling to get enough money to pay for each student to go to school. Of course, personally, I've talked to the mayor. I'd like to see them maybe consolidate, but they do a nice job. It's a great school system. The kids do well, but it's $27,000 per kid to go to down township school. So, I hope once you're up there in the state, you can at least have some mercy on the townships and the communities where Green Acres keeps sucking it up. Over 40-some% of Cumberland County is not rateable, is not buildable. So that's what hurts. So, enough is enough. You need that, but I think we've got enough here, so hopefully they'll let up on us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, our intention is to ensure that people have the ability to really determine for themselves what is the right way to handle their local area, what they consider home. I mean, New Jersey's motto is liberty and prosperity. It was through liberty that we attained our prosperity. These forces that have come in to tell people what they cannot do and what they can do have really come in conflict with these basic elements, which are American values and rights. And so from that standpoint, you need someone who understands that you must protect this so that people can determine for themselves. The idea of having local education was so that people that live close by are able to guide their children's education. It wasn't supposed to be what engineering firm is doing this construction. It wasn't supposed to be how to allocate money. It was supposed to be, what is your education curriculum? Are the right teachers there? And are we taking care of our students? One aspect of the consolidation that I would really like to do across the states I would like the education districts to really be consolidated at the county level. And I would really like that county level decisions only to be, like the local level decisions, be about curriculum and teacher performance. And other aspects of facility development, maintenance, sustainment, I feel should actually be centralized at the state level, and the state should determine and make sure that all areas are getting what they need so you don't have local politics getting in the way of people's education.
Good point. We're talking with Hirsh Singh, who is a gubernatorial candidate on the Republican ticket for this governor's race in November. Of course, for the primary, it's June of this year. We'll be back to talk with Hirsh some more right after these messages. Welcome back to SNJ Today Hotline, brought to you by Ocean First Bank. My special guest today is Hirsh Singh, who is running for the gubernatorial spot on the Republican ticket in June. He'll be on the primary. And Hirsh, tell us about one of the great ideas I think that you have about a bridge, possibly.
So, Jim, to make sure that we're leading in the right way, you have to have some bold ideas. And there's this really bold vision that I've come up with my team, where there's currently a ferry in place between Lewis, Delaware, and Cape May. And we want to add a bridge. It would be a 17-mile bridge, and it would have to be a very high bridge because that's one of the most trafficked waterways in the world. With such a high bridge, we would want those 17 miles to have giant wind turbines throughout the entire bridge so that we're able to actually turn that into also a power plant. This bridge would then connect with Route 50 on the other side in Delaware, and we would be trying to create a parallel with Route 95 between Washington, D.C. and New York City. Right now, that is one of the most trafficked roads in the world, and we would want to decongest those roads. So as population is increasing and we have more traffic, we're able to divert it and actually have it go through South Jersey and southern Delaware. With the increased traffic, we would have, I would say, a full revitalization to both South Jersey and southern Delaware, and get much more traffic coming through this part of New Jersey. The interest in this is even beyond that. Once we have that infrastructure in place, ideas like having a port in Atlantic City become much more viable. And now, instead of us being fully controlled by the economy of the Atlantic City casinos, we would now have new industry coming in that would be a part of infrastructure and trade that would be very helpful across the board and make us a much more viable economy. So that is something that I really want to make happen. We have the capability, we have the engineering talent, and it's something that would really help drive this whole part of the state upward.
very good point. And Hirsh, I serve on the Cape May and Cumberland County Tourism Advisory Board, and we would love to see that too, because tourism for Cape May County is a multi-billion-dollar business. That's
Exactly.
for Atlantic County. And as you mentioned, just being able to maybe revitalize the casino industry, the people from Delaware and Northern Maryland can shoot right over here. Our producer was saying to me, which is true, for us to go to Delaware from where we live, we have to go north to go
Exactly.
south, unless you
Exactly.
take the ferry, and that's very difficult timing-wise and things like that. Hirsh, I'll tell you what, you got to go see Mike Testa. You know who Mike is, right?
Yes.
Mike is the great guy. He's the chairman of the Republican Party in Cumberland County, and I'm sure he'll be impressed with you as I have been with you. And tell you what, now I know why you're a Mr. EHD. You're a sharp young man, you know. Congratulations.
Appreciate it,
Proud
sir.
of you for running. I think that's wonderful. You got to be one of the youngest people ever to run for the governor's position. And I wish you the best. I can't vote for you because I'm a Democrat. I won't be, not at least in the primary. I can't.
It's not a problem. It's not about just running. We're going to win. This is going to be really fun. And what's fun is that we're actually helping out our people.
And that's got some great ideas, you really do. And I'm very proud of you for taking this step and doing this. And I wish you the best. And I hope I'll see you along the way. And don't forget me when you get to Drumpthwack and invite me up for a breakfast or something.
Never, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care. Hirsh Singh, who is running on the Republican ticket for governor of the state of New Jersey, has been our guest. We'd like to remind you that the program is brought to you by Ocean First Bank. And for Hirsh Singh, I'm Jim Quinn. Thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget, June primary, Hirsh will be on the ballot on the Republican ticket. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.